lights it up on the line and gets it away. Longhurst this time gets the power down pretty even, side by side under the bridge. Look at this, great stuff. Brock comes through first though and gets Longhurst, and then it's Seaton, then it's Johnson who made that start. Oh, Jimmy Richards has come right across the ripple strip to take up the action. The field pours through. Everybody gets through this time, looking good. Peter Brock out in front from Tony Longhurst and Glenn Seaton.
Yeah, another good start by Glenn Seaton. He's done 2 very good starts now. This could be interesting. This Tony's having a real go again.
No doubt about that as we look down on the chopper. But it's Brock, Longhurst and Seaton. Then Johnson, who has forged his way through. Jimmy Richards wants a part of this too. He's made a big move up. George Fury sitting in there as well. So there's plenty of talent to burn. Only 9 laps to do it. And Brock at the moment sitting in the number 1 position.
Actually, Wynne Percy did an excellent start. He's got up in front of the 2 Nissans. And I think he's currently lying in around about 5th or 6th position.
Field pouring down now, but there's Brock out in front. Longhurst, like a drover's dog, is right in behind him. Seaton now tucks in behind Brock.
Brocky driving very defensively, driving down the straight on the right-hand side. That's to stop Tony getting him on the inside under brakes. And you can see that Johnson's already made up a heap of ground, and he's now having a go at Seaton. Oh, definitely. Dick Johnson has taken advantage. Look at this, side by side here at Adelaide. Brock again takes the line now. No, he can't. He tries to come back. Tony Longhurst tried to come back on the inside and doesn't do it, but he might get the line here. Brock. Longhurst second, but Brock gets the line and comes through. Well, Longhurst was trying to do what Colin Bond had done in round 1, and of course Bondy had a spin there doing that. But here they go again past the start-finish line with 8 to go. It's still Peter Brock. Seaton has closed right up now on Longhurst, and so has Dick Johnson. So the 4 Sierras are really hooting here at Adelaide. They certainly are. This is going to turn into be a good dice, hopefully. Look at Johnson. He's right up there on Seaton. I predict Johnson will get Seaton down the straight. If he doesn't get walked through that corner, he was held up a little bit. He's going to have a go. Seaton's driving it defensively. This will be interesting to see when they do come onto Brabham Straight. I reckon Dick will just hang back a little bit, get a good run through that right hand, and I reckon he'll knock Glenn off down the straight.
Well, not a struck match in this. Everybody doing the best they can at Adelaide and the Tourers. And you're riding with Glenn Seaton now. That's the A end of Tony Longhurst's car. You can see with Brock up in front. Young Seaton doing the best he can to hang on to him. He's got Dick Johnson in his mirrors. So it's a pretty busy time for young Seaton at the moment. That's Brock, though. He gets a little buffer now. Oh, and look at Johnson riding high on the ripple strips as he comes through, trying to get a run through on Seaton. Let's see if AJ was right.
No, well, that was the corner I told you about, but going up on that ripple strip didn't do him any favours at all, and Glenn's got over to the right to stop him coming in on the inside of him under brakes.
No, it's still Brock, it's still Longhurst, it's still Seaton. And then we have Johnson in 4th place. The flag marshals are busy waving the blue, letting everyone know that there's cars all around them, if they wouldn't be aware of that. Seaton has done a great job this weekend. We mentioned earlier he took 2 cars to Bathurst. It was a big ask for the young fella in a newly formed team, but by gee, he's showing his talents here again, as we know he's done for many years with the Nissan team. But right now, Brock back onto the start-finish line. Now look at Seaton. He takes a tighter line, tucks in. That's keeping Johnson at bay. Tony Longhurst is second. So we've got 8 to go.
And he's coming down into your straight, John.
I think what really Dick needs to sort of just hang back a little bit going into these corners and have a run at Glenn on the way out. He seems to be right up very close to him going into the corner, and that's allowing Glenn just to get away a little bit coming out. But I still maintain that if he can get that right hand right going into Brabham Straight, that'll give him the run that he needs to get past Glenn down the straight.
Cars moving around this circuit, very, very bumpy, very narrow for touring cars, but by G, Brock doing a great job in front. Yeah,
look how close Dick is now going through that right hand. And now see how he loses a little bit on the exit? Yeah, Brocky's driving very well indeed, very clean. He's really got this car sorted out very well.
Okay, don't leave your lounge rooms or your TV sets for this one. We'll be back shortly. Promise plenty happening here. Peter Brock, Dick Johnson, that's right, he's in 2nd place. Then Seaton, then Longhurst, Wynne Percy and Jimmy Richards. Now let's have a look at how Johnson moved back into 2nd place. It was the end of the Kettleville Straight with a great bit of driving. Here we go now, and you can see here that Glenn Seaton had gone fairly wide. Longhurst tucked in under Brock, and all of a sudden Dickie Johnson made the big run down the outside, or the inside, really.
Yeah, well, he got that right-hander just right. I mean, Dick doesn't suffer in the horsepower department, so he got that corner just right coming onto the straight. He got that lead up and was able to pass the 2 cars down there. Whoops-a-daisy.
Oh, there we go. Brock has gone off. Brock has had a big slide as we've just come back live after showing you what Johnson had done. Brock lost it and went smack dab in the wall.
What was he telling Barry Sheen about correction?
Exactly. He's done a Barry Sheen on his own car. Consistent of nothing else. Watch this. Dear me, dear me. Peter Brock had been doing it all right. Dick Johnson, remember, was way back in 5th spot, had charged his way through. Here's a replay. Now, this is Peter Brock as they line up. He gets the car totally sideways. Look at this, all the understeer in the world, and bang, thank you.
I think that was pressure applied by Dick. I think Dick caught up to him so quick. I think he probably surprised Peter, because Dick passed the 2 cars immediately behind him, got right up on his back bumper so quick, and I think that Peter, quite frankly, got a bit of a shock and just overdid it.
Geez, I like to have the panel beating business here this afternoon. Like there's a bit of panel damage. Someone's going to make some money. Well, the crowd gone mad now as Tricky Dicky really throws the thing around and puts plenty of stick down on the ground too, getting the car in all sorts of shapes. He wanted to win this pretty badly. Motor racing is so fickle. I mean, the guy has a dreadful practice session, has all sorts of engine problems. They lose a car in the first heat. Here he is now, leading.
Yeah, well, that's right, you see. I mean, but at the end of the day, I guess if it all comes right in the race, that's what counts.
Sure does. Dick Johnson, El Supremo in touring car racing here in Australia for the last 2 years. Longhurst still hanging on, but he's lost a bit of ground there. So we'll pick him up for you and recap, because there's been so many changes in the last couple of laps. At 6 out of 9 completed. Glenn Seaton is still hanging on. Win Percy has done pretty well too. There's Longhurst in 2nd place.
And Brocky up now.
Brock is back into 3rd place, so can he catch him from there? Then Win Percy, then Jim Richards. So that's the positions. Then Colin Bond, George Fury,
Neville Crichton.
That's how they're running at the moment. 17, 25, 5, 16, 2 and 4. We've lost Seaton somewhere along the line. I'm not sure where. But Glenn Seaton, after a very promising drive, has suddenly gone missing. But that's happened to a number of people.
I just see Glenn Seaton pulling into the pit, so the car is obviously still drivable. It's obviously not damaged at any cost, but just not going well enough.
Riding with Peter Brock now as he tries to get back on Longhurst and Tricky Dicky Johnson. Can he do it? Let's watch the King at work. Doesn't make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. Nothing will. Look at the angle of the car as Brocky gets it sideways as he makes the big chase, and he's getting there too. Engine really revving. You can hear the Sierra doing everything it can to bridge the gap. Brocky charging. There's Longhurst. You can see him now. Can he catch him? Peter Brock doing everything late on the brakes. Slammed the wall. Obviously the car is handling all right, Alan.
Yes, I was just having a look at that, Darryl. In fact, I don't think he's touched the wall because he went out on, it was the back left-hand side of the car that would have been damaged, if at all. And I think Brocky's been lucky and not done hardly any damage to the car at all.
Well, he's really throwing it around, as we know Peter Brock can do. Dick Johnson had done it earlier to come from 5th and snatch the lead after he forced Brock into a mistake there. There's Win Percy and Jim Richards in the background, but Brock at his very aggressive best at the moment trying to catch Tony Longhurst. There's the gap between 2nd and 3rd, and there's only 2 laps to go. Can he do it?
No, I would say in a word, Darryl. I think the tyres actually have done tremendous work here. They put the tyres on the outside of the concrete wall, and he's obviously slid in, touched them. They've done their job, and it's saved the car.
Looking down at Peter Brock in car 05. Dick Johnson is way out in front now. Of course, Johnson drove magnificently to do that. There's Dick Johnson. Here's Tony Longhurst booming on behind him. There's Peter Brock using all the rain. Listen to the crowd. They're revved up. They're trying to get them all together again, because whilst they were there, it was fantastic. But Dick Johnson showed his pass by. Gee, he drove very well to come from 5th and take the lead, forcing Peter Brock into an error. But that's not the situation as we said. There we go. Peter Brock chasing Longhurst, who is in 2nd place. Then Win Percy with a damaged Commodore hanging in there in front of Jim Richards.
Actually, Wynn's going really well. He's holding off the two Nissans, and he's got that damaged bodywork, which wouldn't be helping aerodynamically. But that aside, he's driving really well, and the Holden's steaming ahead.
Dick Johnson coming onto the start-finish line as we lost one of the Commodores, car 99. Oh, and he does a little loose throwback as we come back.
Richard Scare, is that? I believe that's Richard Scare.
Just scared himself.
Yeah, exactly, or Scar.
Okay, with Percy Thunder's pass with Jimmy Richards behind him, but we're looking at the moment at Dick Johnson, Tony Longhurst and Peter Brock. There's the three of them. 8 laps of 9 gone. Johnson gets the thing sideways, gets waved through. He's not backing off. By gee, storming around the moment, the banana bender. The man that took Bathurst this year when they said that he can only win sprint races. By gee, though, he's had a sensational couple of years, Dick Johnson. Oh, no. The lose. Oh, put the locker on everybody. Dick Johnson had it cranked up with 1 lap to go and is gone. Well, Brock's back in second, and Johnson, he's out for the afternoon by the look of it.
And Tony Longhurst is in the lead in the Benson Hedges Sierra, looking very comfortable.
What did we say about fickle motor racing? My goodness, this race has had everything. The Group A's are doing it here in Adelaide. Right, Brock, can he close the gap now on Longhurst? Here we go again as Johnson, I said, was throwing everything into it. And a little bit too much as the Sierra goes, thank you, man, but we'll do a little loop here. And bang, stopped, and that's the end of Dickie Johnson for this afternoon.
Once again, he was lucky that he won't need the panel beater.
Well, now, Brock, can he get the lead back? I think he's going to run out of time. Tony Longhurst, who has done nothing wrong. Peter Brock chasing Longhurst, who's out in front of the Benson and Hedges car. There's the difference. There's the gap. Johnson's going again in 8th position, so he's back on the track. Right, here we are now. That's coming past the pits where we are now. There's 1 lap to go in that gap. I don't think Brock can do it because Longhurst will throw everything into it. Look at that. The car leaping around over the ripple strips, Alan. He's really got the thing cranked up.
Yeah, he has, but he'll know that he's got a nice little gap over Peter. Even if he just slows down a fraction, Peter's got to catch him, but then, of course, he's got to pass him, and that's a whole new ball game as well.
Okay, final lap. It's been an amazing race, this, though, hasn't it? We've seen a bit of everything.
Certainly had its incidents, that's for sure.
Touring cars in Adelaide, they're always pretty special.
Well, that's right, because as I don't know who it was before, they said it was a very narrow track. I don't believe it's all that narrow. I mean, it's 2 or 3 cars wide, that's all you need, but it does produce some good touring car racing every year.
Very slippery surface.
It is, yes, it is a slippery surface. In fact, that's why the Ferraris are having trouble. They just can't get the traction. And obviously with the narrow tyres on the Sierras, they've obviously got some traction problems as well.
Well, I know the boys would like this because Tony Longhurst said to Barry Shen that he thought it was a fantastic race the first time round, and he was running second. Now he's leading. He think it'd be a great race.
Oh, yeah. Tony does like this place. I know that Frank Gardner will be absolutely delighted. They've actually altered this car a little bit from Bathurst. They've actually altered the compression and raised the boost because it is a sprint race. They can ask a bit more of the engine, and that's what they did for this particular race. It's paid off, and it has paid off well.
Okay, well, Tony Longhurst now coming on to the main straight area. He'll take the checkered flag ahead of Peter Brock after a magnificent Group A race here at the Street Circuit of Adelaide, and Tony Longhurst takes the checkered flag and wins this one from Peter Brock, who is second, third, a long way back. That's going to be Wynn Percy. Great drive considering the damage on his car. Then Jimmy Richards pours through, then Colin Bond, and then George Fury and Dick Johnson coming through after leading the race and going out with a spin. Well, that was a beauty, Al.
It certainly was, Darryl. And don't forget, there's another one tomorrow, and I believe the overall winner is the aggregate of the two. So tomorrow's is certainly going to be on for young and old.
Okay, Group A touring cars. Don't miss them tomorrow. They'll be very, very special.